श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि और भक्तवृंद।
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Nama.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Please accept my respectful obeisances to Lotus feet.
Hare
Prabhupada. Pancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhya cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Vaishnava ki jai. Quick introduction.
So, shall we start with Kirtan?
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay.
Sorry, sir. Yes.
I think it's just one way Kirtan, well, I don't have to chant, someone else can if they'd like. Any takers? Any volunteers? Okay, it's me. Jayaadvaita Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Jashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Jashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Jashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Pariprajatacharya Ashtottara Shri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Sridhar Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Sakaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kun Radha Kunigiri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadip Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande.
Really ball. I'll give a quick introduction, Maharaj, if you don't mind. Sorry, I missed it earlier. Jayaadvaita Swami Maharaj is editor, writer, publisher, and teacher. Is a senior disciple of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of International Society for Krishna Consciousness. He served as an editor or assistant editor for nearly all the books of Srila Prabhupada published during Srila Prabhupada's lifetime. He received initiation from Srila Prabhupada in 1968 at the age of 19. Practically, the first task assigned to him was to staple booklets. He later went on to typing manuscripts, transcribing Srila Prabhupada's dictation for books, and then typesetting, proofreading, managing book production, and editing. He has lectured extensively at colleges and universities, especially in the United States. In 1978, he accepted the order of renounced life sannyas. 1985 and 86, he spent a year and a half traveling with party of pilgrims on Padayatra, a journey on foot through various states of India, stopping in a different towns or villages every night. In 1987, along with Dhanodhar Swami Maharaj and Burujan Prabhu, he co-founded the Vrindavan Institute of Higher Education. Since 1988, He has served as a director of Srila Prabhupada's publishing house, BBT, Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. He now oversees the work of the BBT in Africa. From 1991 through most of 1998, he served as an editor-in-chief of Back to Godhead magazine, for which he had been assistant editor for several years. He served as a senior editor of a 3-volume translation and commentary of the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, a 16th century Sanskrit philosophical and devotional work by Srila Sanatana Goswami. And he's also served as a senior editor for Srila Jiva Goswami's Tattva Sandarbha, published in 2013. Thank you very much, Maharaj, for giving your valuable association time.
Thank you, Krishna. Text is a little out of date. I'm not a BBT trustee, and I don't anymore, and I don't oversee any BBT book production. But the rest of it, I guess, is up to date.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Thank you very much for coming. While researching for another class, today our discussion is about the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. While doing research for another class, I was looking for a copy of Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, and I found a copy on the shelf downstairs at the Bhaktivedanta Institute where I'm staying. And they had a collection of books that they'd inherited from one of my late godbrothers. And there I found Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. And it was very interesting when I looked in the, when I opened the book, this is what I saw. So that means that this first printing of Teachings of Lord Chaitanya was my copy back in perhaps 1968 when the book was first published. And somehow it's, I'm reunited with it, at least while I'm here. It's notable that this was practically Srila Prabhupada's first book published in the West, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. And I find it notable that Srila Prabhupada focused on Lord Chaitanya's teachings. For Srila Prabhupada, this was what he wanted to present. The teachings to Rupa Goswami, teachings to Sanatana Goswami, teachings to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, discussion with Ramananda Roy. In this way, the teachings of Lord Chaitanya was the focus of this first book. Yes. And of course, Lord Chaitanya's pastimes are in connection with his teachings. His pastimes are all instructive in themselves. So he teaches by his pastimes. Apaniyatri Prabhu Jivere Shikaya. His whole life is teaching us about Krishna consciousness, whether it's by direct instruction or by his activities. He's teaching. Apaniyatri Prabhu Jivere Shikaya. So all of his pastimes are instructive. And because Lord Chaitanya took up the role of an ideal devotee of Krishna. So he shows us how to be a devotee. Srila Prabhupada explained that if the teacher tells the student, you do that, you write A, you write B, you write C. But then to further show the student, the teacher himself writes A, B, C, and the students see what the teacher is doing and they learn. from that example. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu acts in a similar way. Although he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he takes the role of a devotee and shows by his personal example how to serve Krishna, how to love Krishna. So these instructions are there in his life, whether in Navadvip or traveling throughout India or in Vrindavan or Puri. He's teaching us by these, by example. Today, I wanted to take up one subject matter discussed in Chaitanya Charitamrita and in teachings of Lord Chaitanya, and that's the Lord's instructions to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met in Puri. The Lord, after taking sannyas, decided to live in Puri by the request of his respected mother. And when he came to Puri, he entered the Jagannath temple and fainted, unconscious. And he was brought to the home of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So that is discussed at length in Chaitanya Charitamrita. I'm making a shortcut. The Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya appreciated that this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very handsome sannyasi, very attractive person. And he also saw that his trance of having been stunned at the sight of Lord Jagannath was genuine. It was not a show. And so Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was impressed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was an expert in Vedanta and in Shastra generally, but especially Vedanta and logic and these things. But Vedanta particularly, Vedanta philosophy, as taught by Sripad Shankaracharya. That means the impersonal school of Advaita Vedanta. And although he was a householder, he was so learned that he served as the teacher, even of many sannyasis. They would go to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya for instruction because he was so learned, exceedingly learned, like Brihaspati, so learned. So this Bhattacharya thought that this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's appears to be a very nice sannyasi, but he's quite young. He's quite young and good looking also. So that may be a problem for him. Young, good looking sannyasi. So this is the stuff that Bollywood films are made of. A young, good looking sannyasi, and the women are attracted, and something happens, and then there's a romantic story. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya thought that for the protection of this sannyasi, for his welfare, he should become very staunchly situated in knowledge of Vedanta. he should be very staunchly situated in knowledge of Vedanta. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya volunteered to instruct Lord Chaitanya on Vedanta philosophy, and Lord Chaitanya agreed. And the instruction began in the temple of Lord Jagannath itself. And the Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya spoke Vedanta philosophy to the Lord for 7 days. Just like we have seminars for a week. So constant instruction for 7 days on Vedanta philosophy. And then after 7 days, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya inquired on the 8th day that you're hearing Vedanta sutras from me for the last week, but you don't ask anything or say anything as to whether I'm explaining it nicely. So I can't tell whether you understand me or not. I can't tell. Just like our Zoom classes, when they're all one way and there's no feedback, then you don't know. I might as well be speaking into the void. But when there's some questions or some comments, then we know, all right, people are listening and they have something to ask. So the Bhattacharya was speaking for 7 days, but there was no feedback. The Lord didn't ask anything, the Lord didn't say anything, he just listened. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya asked, I can't tell whether you're following or not. So then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied that I haven't studied Vedanta Sutras, but you asked me to hear you, so I'm trying to listen. You said it's the duty of every sannyasi to hear the Vedanta Sutras, so I'm listening. But you're creating a meaning that I can't understand. And Prabhupada comments, in other words, the Lord was explaining that in the Mayavad Sampradaya, there are many so-called sannyasis who are even illiterate and don't have sufficient intelligence. But just as a formality, they hear Vedanta Sutra from their spiritual master, although they don't understand anything. So that we find, that they're so-called sannyasis, Advaitins, but they really don't know anything. They're just fools. And there are others who may be very learned, just as Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya himself was very learned. But so I'm a fool, but I can't understand the explanations that you've created. That means that as he put it elsewhere, then Bhattacharya said, well, if you don't follow, how is it that you don't ask anything, but you're just sitting quietly? It seems that you have something to say about my explanation. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was no fool. He could understand that there must be something going on here. So if you're not saying anything, but you have questions about my explanation, so you must have some idea. So the Lord replied, yes, as far as the codes of the Vedanta Sutras are concerned, I can understand the meaning very nicely, but I can't understand your explanations. I can't understand it. your explanation, because you don't give the direct meaning. You give some imaginary something that covers the meaning. And I think you have some particular doctrine to promote. And so you're trying to explain that doctrine through the codes of Vedanta Sutra. That was Lord Chaitanya's presentation. Lord Chaitanya's presentation. So the direct explanation is called Mukhya Vritti, and indirect Lakshan Vritti. And that indirect, Lord Chaitanya didn't approve, that beating around the bush and trying to promote some preconceived idea. The Vedanta Sutras should be accepted as they are. That was Lord Chaitanya's implication. The Lord Chaitanya said that the Vedic statements of the Upanishads are just like sunlight, clear, distinct, but the Mayavadi philosophers cover the sunlight with the cloud of their misinterpretations. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that actually the Vedanta Sutra, the target of the Vedanta Sutras is Brahma, the absolute truth. Atato Brahma Jigyasa. What is Brahma? Let us discuss this question. What is the absolute truth? This is the topic of Vedanta Sutras. And Lord Chaitanya said that when we hear about Brahma, or the greatest, that greatest is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Unless filled with all opulences, the greatest can't be the greatest. Aishvarasya, Samagrasya, Viryasya, Yashashastriya, Jnana Vairagiyos. These opulences, 6 opulences, are the sign of greatness. Yes. And Lord Chaitanya gave evidence from the Upanishads, from Vedanta, that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the origin of everything. He quoted from Hayashirsha Pancharatra that in every Upanishad, the Supreme Brahma is first viewed as impersonal, but at the end, the personality of Godhead is accepted. In the Ishopanishad, Hiranmayena Patrena Satyasya Pihitam Mukam Tattvam Pushana Pavranu Satya Dharmaya Trishtaye. O Supreme Personality of Godhead, your face, mukha, is covered by your glaring effulgence. Please remove that effulgence so that I can see your form as the personality of Godhead. The Lord Chaitanya quoted from the Taittiriya Upanishad, Yato Vahimani Bhutani Jayante. Everything comes from the personality of Godhead, or the absolute truth. Sa aikshata, sa srijata. He glances over material nature and everything is manifest. So the Mayavadis have a peculiar idea that they hold that Brahma is beyond transformation, beyond, yes, it's simply one absolute homogeneous substance. So what do we make of this material nature? So they say that this material nature is just a transformation of the personality of Godhead, simply Brahma in another state. But Brahma can't actually have another state, and therefore this is simply an illusion. And even when the personality of Godhead appears in this world, he's also, in one sense, an illusion. He's not he's a representation of the total modes of material nature or the mode of goodness in the material energy. They think that the personality of Godhead is a manifestation of matter. Although although by his glance, the Vedas say, everything comes into existence. They say that his form is material, therefore his eyes are material, therefore his glance also would have to be material. So how can his eyes and his form and his glance be a product of the material nature when the material nature is not active until activated by his glance? Well, this is a problem for the Mayavadis. And it's also problematic that essentially they accuse Vyasadeva of promoting a false understanding of the absolute truth, this understanding of Maya as somehow being, or Brahma as assuming the form of Maya. In so many ways, they have their ideas. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made it very clear from the statements of Shastra that Vyasadeva is not teaching that the material world is simply Brahma in another aspect, that by some kind of illusion, it seems that Brahma is appearing with variety, but actually these varieties don't exist. And even the so-called personality of Godhead is just another manifestation of Maya's magic. And actually, the Upanishads are teaching that everything is the energy of Brahma. Everything is the energy of Brahma. Esha desha, eka desha stitas yagnir, jyotsna vistarani yata, parasya brahmana shakti tadedam akilam jagat. This is Vishnu Puran. But in the Shruti mantras, parasya shaktir vividhaiva shruyate, svabhaki jnana palakriyacha. The absolute truth is full of variegated energies. Vividhaiva shruyate, parasya shaktir, vividhaiva shruyate. The absolute truth has so many energies. And svabhaki, they're all acting on their own, automatically. Svabhaki jnana palakriyacha. They're doing everything. The material, everything becomes intelligible when we understand that the absolute truth means the absolute truth with varied energies. He has his spiritual energy, which manifests the transcendental world. He has his material energy, which manifests the material world. Bhumirapo Nalo Vayu, so on. And he has his marginal energy, the living entity. Apareya Sitas Tvanya. Prakatim Vidyame Param, Jiva Bhuta, the living entities. So these energies are Krishna's energies, and by those energies, he's manifesting everything, the spiritual world, the material world, the living entities who are between the two. These are all manifestations of the personality of Godhead. When it's said that the Absolute has no hands, no legs, apani pado javanagrihita, that means he has no material hands, no material legs, no material senses. But it doesn't mean that he's impersonal, that he has no hands, no legs. Sarvata panipadam tat sarvato shishiromakam. Sarvata shrutivaloke sarvamavrita tishtati. He's everywhere, and at the same time, he has his localized, he has his own abode. Aditya Varnam Tamasa Parastad. So the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had extensively spoke about the nature of the absolute truth. He said that you Mayavadis have falsely emphasized Tattvamasi as being like the headline phrase of the Vedas. You are that. Tattvam asi. Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahma. He says, but the actual Mahavakya, the actual headline word in Vedanta, or in the Vedas, is Omkar. Pranava Sarva Vedeshu. The Omkar vibration is the main, and that Omkar represents the absolute truth, and finally the personality of Godhead. The Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam Sada Pashanti Surya. So the Lord spoke at great length to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, rejecting all of his concocted explanations, disproving, refuting his concocted explanations, and presenting the Supreme as the personality of Godhead. This is the battleground for Srila Prabhupada and for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What is that battleground? Personal versus impersonal. When we read the teachings of Lord Chaitanya to Bhattacharya Sarvabhauma, this comes out so clearly. And of course, throughout Srila Prabhupada's campaign of teaching, it's always this tension between the impersonalists and the personalists. The impersonalists deny the personality of Godhead, and the personalists accept the personality of Godhead. In the Bhagavad Gita also, this is the subject matter as the 12th, of course, throughout, but especially in the 12th chapter where Arjuna inquires, who's better, the impersonalists or the personalists? Who's better situated? So that same subject is at the core of the discussion between Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was a committed impersonalist of the Vedanta school. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the role of pure devotee of the Lord. the brother-in-law of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Gopinathacharya, was also a great devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he'd always tried to convince his brother-in-law, Sarvabhauma, about the Vaishnava Siddhanta, personalist conclusion. But Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was impervious. He wouldn't accept anything. He had great knowledge. He was a great teacher of philosophy. He knew Vedanta, he knew Sharira Bhasha, the commentary of Shankaracharya inside and out. So there was no way that he was going to be persuaded about this personalist philosophy. And Gopinathacharya was just praying that if only this rascal could become a Vaishnava. So finally, it happened that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained the Vedanta Sutras in such a thorough and persuasive way that the great professor of Vedanta, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, surrendered. He accepted that, yes, this is correct. And further, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that even those who've already attained self-realization, who are already fixed in the impersonal absolute, become attracted to Krishna, the personality of God. Atmaramascha muniyo nigrantamapu kurvanti oitakim bhaktim nitam bhuta gunahari. So Lord Chaitanya then explained that Atmarama verse in so many different ways, 64, I think, different ways, in so many, gave so many different explanations. Atmarama means this, and Atmarama means that, and Cha means this, and Cha means that. Muneo means this and that. So he explained everything. And the Bhattacharya was overwhelmed. He was overwhelmed. And he felt that he'd been offensive to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and asked the Lord to be merciful to him. And Lord Chaitanya showed to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya his Sadbhuj Murti, 2 hands as playing the flute, and 2 hands with the weapons of Lord Ramchandra, and 2 hands as sannyasi. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya understood that here's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he composed 100 verses in praise of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then Gopinathacharya was so pleased that, sir, you've made my brother-in-law this hard-boiled case into a devotee. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, no, because you are desiring. If a devotee desires, then someone can become Krishna conscious. So he gave credit to Advaita Acharya, to Gopinathacharya. So then there's more, but Lord Chaitanya returned to his place, and he sent to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya following morning some prasad from the Jagannath temple, or he came. Let's see. No, yes, he came to the house of Bhattacharya with some prasadam and flowers. And the Bhattacharya at once accepted the prasadam. He hadn't taken his bath, he hadn't brushed his teeth, no morning, but he at once accepted the prasadam and cited that prasadam, when you get prasadam, you just take it right away. It doesn't matter who you get it from, how it came, no conditions. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was astonishing that this smarta Brahmin, who was rules and regulations and impersonal philosophy, has now become such a Vaishnav that he's appreciating in this way. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned to his place and became one of the leading pure devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and was chanting and dancing in ecstasy, the same dry scholar. And he presented to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in fact, that there was one verse that he revised, Mukti Pade Sadaya Pak, that no, this is not good. Better Bhakti Pade. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, no, you can't do that. You can't edit Srimad Bhagavatam and change it. And by Mukti Pad means Krishna, the giver of liberation. So it's not impersonal, it's personal. Yes, I know, but still, I hate to hear this word mukti. I hate to hear this word mukti. The same Bhattacharya who was just preaching mukti, now he doesn't want to hear the word. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very pleased. Later, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya wrote many verses praising the Lord, 2 verses actually praising the Lord, and sent them with one devotee. And requested Jayadananda to please give these verses. But along the way, some devotees of Mahaprabhu stopped him, and first they copied these verses on a wall. Then, all right, now you deliver. So then when he delivered, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tore up the verses because they were simply praising him. But the devotees had copied them, so the verses were not lost. Vairagya Vidya Nijabhakti Yoga Shiksharkusha Purana Shri Krishna Chaitanya Shri Radhari Kripam Bhukti Ya Sang Prapadye. That, and then what was the second verse? Let's see. Kalan nashtam bhakti yogam nijam ya praduskartum Krishna Chaitanya nama irbhutas tasya padadavinde gadham liyatam chittabringa. The course of time, the ancient system of devotional service has been lost. But now Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has appeared for the sake of reviving this eternal serving mood. So, Gadham liyatam chittabringa. So may my consciousness take shelter like a bee. May the bee of my mind, of my consciousness, take shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So I'll stop here and see if there's some questions.
Dear devotees, anyone has questions?
You've been listening for 6 days, 7 days, and you have no questions.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. The one verse you are referring to, Sadaya Vak, Tatyana Kampansu Samikshamana Bunjana Vak. Wonderful verse. Very instructive lesson for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for this wonderful class. Please accept my humble obeisances. My question was, I was contemplating on the pastime Maharaj, and I was thinking the only way a person can get bhakti is when another devotee desires for that soul to get bhakti. Is this the correct understanding, Maharaj?
Yeah, one gets bhakti only by the mercy of a devotee. Otherwise, how do we get it? You can't get it by pious activities. You can't get it by mental speculation. You can't get it by tapasya, by yoga. There's no way to get devotional service except by the mercy of devotees. That's a fact.
Thank you, Maharaj. And this mercy is also causeless mercy only, right, Maharaj? Because it's not like...
Yeah, if we have to go by what we deserve, we wouldn't get anything.
Okay. Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hold on, I think Jagadish Sima Prabhu has a question. Just a minute.
Yes, Jagadish Singha.
Jagadish Sima Prabhu, go ahead. Then you can ask.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj, then from all glories to you and obeisances in your lotus feet.
You're welcome
Maharaj,
to turn on your videos, by the way, if you'd like, so that we can see your...
Yeah, sure, Maharaj.
There we go.
Maharaj, I have just the inquiry. Like Gopinath Acharya and Sarva Bhattacharya, when he approached himself and try his own effort and thinking he not going to work out, but he was confident like a Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can change him. So is that like he knows this, or he just keep on trying to give him some just I want to just understand that perspective, or being a devotee, we should not give up, we should try and approach some other devotees to change somebody, or how I'm thinking that perspective, the way he approached. So similar, we should follow the pattern if you want to, try to give some benefit or give Harinam to, which is not easily people get it.
Well, first thing is, I don't think it's the text says that he knew that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would change him. I don't recall reading that. Maybe it's there, but I didn't see that. But naturally, as a devotee, he was, first of all, he was exasperated that this guy keeps just talking, Brahma, 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 Brahma. Aham Brahmasmi and all this Mayavad stuff. It's offensive. Devotees don't even, it's like not only wrong, not only do we disagree with it, but it's offensive. The Lord has no hands, the Lord has no feet, the Lord has no eyes, the Lord has no ears. Prabhupada said it's like saying that you're crippled and blind and dumb. You can't hear, you can't see, you can't walk. So Gopinath Acharya really didn't like hearing this stuff. But it was his brother-in-law. You know how it is in family life. So one of your family members, it wasn't just like a sideline for Bhattacharya. This is what he did as his occupation. He explained all this stuff. So as the brother-in-law, Gopinath Acharya had to endure this. He had to hear all this, but he wasn't going to take it sitting down. He preached to him that, no, this is wrong. Naturally. And he presented that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You don't know what you're talking about. You're sentimental Vaishnava. So he went on trying naturally as a devotee, and particularly because he was stuck with this man, you know, there was a family connection. But then it was wonderful that, and naturally he was thinking, if only this man would become a devotee. But then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did it. You know, but what could Gopinath Acharya do? He was up against this, you know, brilliant scholar who knew everything. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Prabhupada pointed this out about preaching, that he took the tactic that he just sat and listened. Because that's what the brilliant men want to do. They want to hear themselves talk, you know. They want to think that they're very learned and present their philosophy for the appreciation of everyone else and the enlightenment of everyone else. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sat and listened, patiently. Then Bhattacharya inquired, you know, what's going on here? You're not asking anything. So Prabhupada said that when preaching to the college students, we should adopt a similar policy. We should hear from them patiently. He said they're a little puffed up, he said, but after all, he said they're puffed up, but after all, they deserve it. You know, they're educated, there's something. So hear their philosophy, their point of view. We should patiently hear them, not just, you know, stuff our philosophy down their throat. We hear from them and then defeat them with superior understanding. But in a humble way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took the humble position. But no, I'm a fool, what can I understand? But I do understand the Vedanta, I just don't understand your explanations. It's too much. Is that okay?
Yeah, thank you so much, Maharaj.
Thank you, Jagadish.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. May I ask a question?
Why not?
Go ahead now.
Okay. It is a very, I am a Krishna devotee for a long time, but I am here. It is an eye-opening lecture today, Prabhuji. I will just narrate something, as you said, a very beautiful question about not asking any question. I have been in the teaching profession as a professor of physics for last 30 to 40 years. I teach physics for the college students and all that. One thing I have observed, to my experience, Prabhuji, please correct if I am doing something wrong to you, that all my students, they will be there, and the student who will never ask any question to my lecture, when I do the examination, some of them, not all of them, one of them, the best one has never asked me any question in the class. He has topped the list. So I used to tell to my grandkids that when somebody is giving a lecture, don't ask question to him. You listen to them because your question may be there in his talk. He will narrate to you at the end. Don't interrupt in between, because what he is going to present to you, he might present things what you are looking for. So that is the way I used to tell to my grandchildren, and listen what he is saying carefully and don't ask any question. So please comment on my question. I will appreciate your comment, please.
Yes, of course, that's also there, that so often we don't listen and then we just ask questions. While the teacher is speaking, we're busy formulating questions in our head and we're not hearing. So we have to patiently hear from the teacher in order to get knowledge. But after hearing, we may have questions also, or while hearing, we may have questions. In the Bhagavad Gita, we find Arjuna is asking questions. He's asking questions. How can I understand that you spoke this to the Katam etad vijaniyam tamado proktamanati? How is it that you were speaking to Vivashan, the god of the sun, so long ago. So Arjuna presents, in the course of the text, he presents his questions. And Krishna doesn't shut him down and say, no, 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 if you were a good student, you wouldn't ask. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. Upadekshanti te gyanam gyaninas tattvadarshana. One can approach the teacher, guru, with a submissive attitude, that's required, and with service and with questions, pariprashna. In the Bhagavatam also, we find that the sages are asking questions of Sutta Goswami, or Parikshit Maharaj is asking questions of Shukadev Goswami. So this question and answer method is a time-honored method for getting knowledge. What you said is also all right, that sometimes the student, like our Srila Prabhupada, he said, I only asked one question of my Guru Maharaj. He said, I only asked him one question. How can I serve you?
Yeah.
And he was the best student.
Yo, that was the best student. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. It's such a great talk. I really appreciate it. Thank you for your presentation.
Your kindness. By the way, I'm staying at the headquarters of the Bhaktivedanta Institute for Higher Studies, which is a group of scientists who want to present the Vedic understanding in a scientific context. So they're forming a network of devotee scientists who have that interest, and I'm sure you'd be more than welcome to participate, to get the news of the activities of the Institute, and to contribute also to your professional capability.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for this invitation, sir. I will talk with Madhupati Prabhu and get the link so that I can probably attend.
Yes, so? you can write directly to me. He'll give you my address and I can patch you in.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Namaste, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
All right.
Yeah, sorry. Next question. Amritanand Prabhu, go ahead.
Last question, because I'm on a schedule today.
Go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I'm actually at a COVID center getting my shot, so please excuse the background noise. Very happy to see you, Maharaj, and happier still to hear from you. Also kind of embarrassed to ask the questions after getting the instruction regarding questions. But all the same, Maharaj, this is kind of related to the topic of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We hear that he has come to deliver us in the role of a devotee, how to be a devotee, and also in the mood of Radharani. Krishna could not understand, Radharani. But at the same time, we learn one of the opulences of Krishna is full of knowledge. So how is it that Krishna did not understand Radharani's love for him?
How is it that Chaitanya, the Krishna who has unlimited knowledge, didn't understand Srimati Radharani's love for him? That you'll find in Chaitanya Charitamrita in the Adi Lila, maybe it's 4th chapter, or anyway, you'll find, not 4th, probably not, maybe 4th. Anyway, you find it there, that Krishna he understands Srimati Radharani, but then her love expands. So he expands his knowledge potency to understand further, but then the pleasure potency further expands. So then he expands his knowledge potency, and then again, pleasure potency expands. So there's no end to this. Krishna's knowledge is always expanding, his pleasure is always expanding. Is that all right?
Perfect, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Again, my apologies. I would spend more time, but I'm on a schedule this morning, and so I have to go.
Sure, Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Thank you all so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
Jayaadvaita.
Gaur Premanande.
Jai. Haribol.
With announcements. Today evening class from 8 to 9 is by His Grace Baladev Prabhu and Gaur Leela. So please join evening. And then March 9th, Tuesday, is Vijay Ekadasi, fasting from grains, beans, and corn. The Parna time on Wednesday is 6:17 to 10:11. And March
in the box. Thank you. Good morning.
March 11th, Thursday is Shivaratri. So we have evening program 6 to 10. Kirtan class will be given from 8 to 9 by His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj. So we posted the flyer already, I think. So you can join using that. Then March 28th, a very important festival, Gaur Purnima, Holy Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance day. So we'll let you know how we'll be celebrating. It will be restricted celebration, Abhishek and Kirtan and class, but we'll post those details. March 28th, Sunday. That will be in the evening. So our whole day. We'll let you know. But we have Govindas on specials. So please, if you like to avail Govindas, you can let us know if you are not in the Govindas group. If you want to be added. Anyone has questions, logistical questions or anything like to ask? Temple darshan is open with restricted with mask on. So there is a scanner at the before entering second door in the temple to scan the temperature. Please make sure before you enter, you stay in front so that it can tell you whether normal temperature or above. So that accordingly you can enter with mask on.
Hare Krishna. Yes, yeah. Thank you very much for joining the Govindas Beyond for Ekadasi from 2 to 9 and also on Shivratri from 5 to 9 on Thursday evening. Okay. Any other announcement here, Krishna Prabhu? Or
Madhupati Prabhu, namaste.
Hare Krishna, Akhilesh Krishna, Hare Prabhu.
Prabhu. Is there the ceremony going on this Sunday? Is it continuing or it is disrupted?
We have darshan open and during the Aarti time, yeah, devotees come. But our lectures or program is virtual.
Oh, okay.
From 8 to 9 is today's evening's lecture, and before 8 o'clock, 7:30 or 7 to 8 is Kirtan. But
Okay.
there's also Kirtan at, in the temple. So if you are going for darshan, you can go for darshan.
Yeah.
Following safety precautions, right, as Krishna Prabhu mentioned.
Yeah, 6 to 6:30 is the Sunday evening Aarti, main Aarti. So during that time, there will be Kirtan in the temple also. So you can attend if you like to.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
That's very nice seeing you after a long time. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah.
You're looking very good now. Looks very healthy and more satisfied and more what the right word is not coming to my mind. More seasoned. What should I say? I don't know. The right word is not coming to me. Madhupati Prabhu, please. Namaste. Namaste, Madhupati Prabhu. Namaste ji. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
You can remember, Prabhu, you have any announcement? Anything?
Hare
Yeah, Hare Krishna, somebody had something?
Krishna Prabhuji, I just have a quick question.
like Maharaj was asking for the volunteers. So what should be the approach one should have? Like, should we start without asking anyone, like, can I sing, can I do kirtan, or what should one do if somebody is saying, is there a volunteer? That was bothering me because I could have sung that Radha. So what should be the approach, Prabhuji, as per Vaishnava etiquette?
Yeah, that's good question, Mataji. Thank you. Normal is like, when Maharaj is asking for volunteers for kirtan before the class, devotee can come forward to do kirtan. Normal etiquette is again when sannyasi is giving a class, it's better that kirtan is led by some Prabhuji.
Okay,
That's a
Prabhuji.
normal etiquette.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, that's why I didn't ask you. I know you're there. That's why I didn't ask.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for that. Very good.
Madhupati Prabhuji.
Yeah.
This is Akhileshwar Patil again.
Yeah.
May I get the link what Prabhuji is saying about that for this gathering?
Yeah, I will send you his phone and where you can directly communicate with my Guru Maharaj, and he can give the link.
I will appreciate Prabhuji. I will appreciate for that.
Send me
Okay.
a text, Prabhuji, so that I have your latest number.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Namaste.
Haribol, Madhupati Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Amritanand here.
Yes.
Prabhu, would it be possible for you and Krishnaram Anand Prabhu to print out a list of whatever different sevas would be required from now to Gaur Purnima day and post it on Japathon or Bhagavad Seva? That way then we can plan and devotees can. So if you can put, whatever.
Yeah.
Cooking and this, that, whatever.
Also, there is a meeting today from 3 to 4. There is a meeting for Gaur Purnima preparation. So whoever would like to join can join also. But yes, that's a good thing. We'll also put the seva thing. Yeah.
I'll do that. Thank you.
What's the meeting ID?
Himeshwar Prabhu is there, or Krishna Prabhu will send it out.
Yeah, okay. I'll send it. Anybody else want to attend? Let us know. We'll or we'll post in Japathon group. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to join, yeah. Okay, Devkinandan Prabhu, I think you're trying to say something. I think.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
We also have morning and evening classes. Bhagavatam class every day, 6:30 to 7 in the weekdays, and evening Bhagavad Gita class from 7 to 8, 7 to 7:45. So please join if you can. Those poster is there with the Zoom IDs and the Japathon we posted before, but we'll post again. I think with that we can conclude the session.
Vancha
kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu
पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः
Hare
कृष्ण
Krishna.
की जय
Thank you.
हरे कृष्ण शिल प्रभुपाद की जय थैंक यू एवरीवन हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna.